Is Nick Turinski. I am 33 years old. I've been living with Lyme disease for the last 15 years of my life. I diagnosed myself excuse me, a year and a half ago. Today I want to talk to you about the positive things that Lyme disease has brought into my life. Just a quick tidbit before I go into that. My mother became schizophrenic when I was 14 years old, and this basically threw my life into a downward spiral. I became self-destructive, using drugs and alcohol to cope with the pain. And so essentially, I compounded a negative situation by adding more negativity into it. And when I was first struck down with Lyme, I was 18 years old and I was bedridden for 4 months. This gave me a lot. It basically forced me, I could no longer run from my problems. It forced me to do some deep self-cultivation, look deep within inside myself to solve some of my emotional and spiritual problems. And the biggest gift that I got from this self-cultivation was I realized that energy can't dissipate. It either has to be channeled in a positive direction or a negative direction. And I know not everyone's life story is the same as mine, but I do believe there is a gift of illness for everyone in this room. If you're open to it and have the perspective, you will come out a stronger person on the other side of it. And my gift became really useful when I got my diagnosis. I'm sure like many of you, I diagnosed myself, and I'm wondering why couldn't the doctors solve this. I went to the doctors when I was 18. Why did it have to go on for so long? So I had about 14 years of anger and sadness come up to the surface, and I had a choice. I could either go the negative route, pick up a bottle and become self-destructive, or funnel my energy into a positive route. So right then and then I picked up my pencil and I decided I was going to design t-shirts to raise awareness for Lyme disease and what it can do to a mind, a body, and spirit. I'll step out here. I don't know how well you can see, but the t-shirts I designed are Lyme Warriors t-shirts, and it has a tick on the bottom, the medical sign. So the tick gives you disease, and then you have hands praying. Disease when you're bedridden, you're praying, self-reflection. This was the most advantageous state for me where I could deal with a lot of my mental and emotional problems. And then the axe represents becoming a warrior and eventually defeating your disease. And whether you want to admit it or not, if you have Lyme disease, you're fighting a war against the disease. And in war, you can either be a warrior or a victim. And in this circumstance, I mean by being a warrior, by not allowing the disease to trample your spirit and your soul. Because the essence of every human being is our spirit and our soul. And if you can keep your spirit and soul high throughout the process, you will actually heal faster and you will have a good quality of life. And I just wanted to share with you some of the tools I use to keep my spirit and soul high throughout this process. First and foremost is the pool. I haven't been able to move without pain for 15 years. I was born and raised on sports, and I need vigorous exercise. I get into the pool and I can move without pain, and it kind of resets my brain and lets me see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I also believe water has spiritual and emotional cleansing properties. And the pool I go to, I've seen paraplegics get in the pool and put on a life vest, and they don't really swim, but they're in there floating and taking some weight off their body, and they have the biggest smile on their face. So no matter what your condition is, you can get into the water and even just float around and have some fun. The second tool I use is reading and positive affirmations. Every human being has a negative loop cycle in their brain, and people with Lyme disease, that negative loop cycle is even stronger. Am I ever going to get better? Is this disease going to take me down? And if you read, that forces your brain to focus on some new information instead of that negative loop cycle. And I understand a lot of people with Lyme have cognitive issues and may not be able to read. In that case, I would recommend positive affirmations. My favorite one is, I love myself, I am a warrior, I will defeat Lyme disease. And if you say that more and more throughout the day, you will eventually, the positive loop cycle will start overtaking the negative loop cycle. And for me, that was extremely important in my bedridden states. I would just say that over and over, and eventually my spirit and soul would start lifting me out of that bed. And the third tool I use is Tai Chi and Qigong, which is Chinese exercise and meditation. And there's actually Oregon Taoist Society that offers free classes every Saturday for disabled people, and you can do the whole class from a seated position. and Tai Chi and Qigong really helps to de-stress movement of your joints and your ligaments, and I believe it's a really good positive thing. So like I said, I really recommend you keep your spirit and your soul high throughout this process. But I also understand, as you can see, I'm on, I can't walk by myself. Sometimes you're in the mud and you just have to admit it. But if you have a day like that, make it a purposeful day. That day you're going to mourn the loss of your health, you're going to cry, you're going to do what you need to do. And the rest of the week, move on. Keep your spirit and soul high. And I really believe in the saying, one should not wish for an easy life, but the courage to endure a tough life. So essentially, Lyme disease is actually giving you an opportunity to raise your consciousness to a higher level and become a better overall person. I want to thank you for your time, and I'm open to any questions.
Classes.
It's on Sandy Boulevard. It's the Oregon Taoist Society.
What's the cross street?
I want to say it's like Sandy and 27th.
27th, about that.
Yeah, but if you look up Oregon Taoist Tai Chi Society, and it's a really wonderful place. The energy is very positive. It's for free, and like I said, you can do the entire class from a seated.
You can email me the information, and I'll send it out to the group.
Okay, great.
Do you need to make a reservation, or can you show up?
No, all is welcome there.
What time is it?
I believe it is 12 o'clock to 1:30. And like I said, they're very welcoming and very nice people, positive energy there.
Good, I'll get there.
Yes?
I was just going to add to that. I go to that as well, so it was, and I also swim, so it was very nice to hear the same types of things that I use. What I have found also to be the case there is they do have that free class, but they also have a very a sliding scale for people who do. For me, sitting is the problem. It's not standing as much. So they have a sliding scale for people who want to go more frequently. So I think they have a suggested donation.
Mm-hmm.
However, they also, it's a suggested donation, and certainly if you want to go more often, you can, and just tell them what you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
So just wanted to add that. And I also wanted to say thank you for getting up and sharing your story. It was a really good job.
Thank you.
Courage.
Yes, sir?
The t-shirts.
Yeah, so the t-shirts are $12. I guess we could do it through David. If you're interested in a t-shirt, you can contact David. I actually brought some t-shirts today too. Maybe after the class, if you're interested. They're Hanes Beefy Tee, high quality t-shirts. I drew the design myself. Maybe just give your spirit a little boost. I know for me it really helps on my bad days. Remind myself that I am a warrior and I'm going to defeat this disease. So.
Is there anything on the back?
Nope.
I like it.
I wanted to keep the price reasonable and get a good
sure.
quality shirt.
It's good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned reading, and I read a lot of books and, on self-help and affirmations and whatnot. Do you have any specific books you recommend or that you like?
Yeah, the Art of Learning is a really good one about the chess master, and then he went from chess to Tai Chi push hands. And also the Celestine Prophecy is a really good book about kind of following the energy of the world, and there are no such thing as coincidences. And that's why I believe Lyme disease happened to me to slow me down and stop my self-destructive ways. So.
What was that title?
The Celestine Prophecy.
C-E-L-E.
Yeah.
Would you just say that again? One should not wish for a happy life, but for...
No, one should not wish for an easy life,
Oh, easy.
but the courage to endure a tough life.
I see.
I love that.
I live by that motto. I've had to face a lot of adversity, and it builds character. My legs are starting to wobble. Any more questions?
If you want, you can sit down there for, if there's other questions, so you don't.
I will stand until there's no more questions. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Can I
Oh,
ask you, I used to swim a lot, about 3 times a week, but I have a lot of trouble with the chlorine now.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of these clubs and things get expensive, but I've been looking around for places.
Well, I go to Portland State because I got my graduate certificate from there.
Yeah,
They use chlorine, but it's very low dose.
yeah, I
and-
used to swim.
I would actually be willing to take you to Portland State with me if you wanted to.
Okay, I could try that sometime, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your time.